Hello everyone, Christina Werner here. Welcome to another card video. Today I'm using the brand new Petal Power stamps and dies from Simon Says Stamp. This was just released, just hours ago when this video goes up. And this is a stamp set that I designed, and I wanted to show you guys a really fun way to use all the elements. So I'm going to be stamping all the different pieces of my flower scene here with these colors of distress ink, and I'll point them out as we go along. So I'm going to start out by using the smaller size petals. I'm using Picked Raspberry. I'm going to stamp this onto some Neenah Classic Crest Solo Write cardstock. And then I'm going to follow up with 4 more petals. I'm using Seedless Preserves with this one that has kind of like a friend word repeating on it. Then I used Mustard Seed for the polka dot petal. I've got Abandoned Coral on this squiggle line. And then Spiced Marmalade for the grid. And then I've got my 3 leaves and also my stem in peeled paint. Now this stem is curved, and I want to make sure it lines up with the die when I stamp it and go to die cut it. So I did kind of like pick up the stamp and let it fall and make sure it goes back to its original form. You're going to want to do the same thing when you put it back on the stamp sheet. Kind of let it fall down onto your work surface into its original shape, and then pick up your stamp sheet and place it over top of the stamp to get it back in the right spot. I cut apart my dies, and as I had hoped, that curved line is perfect for the die. I then put my die cuts down and die cut everything. Now you'll notice that I'm cutting 2 leaves and 2 petals at a time. That's because when I made the die set for the stamp set, I made sure that there were 2 for each, so you didn't have to send your die cuts through the die cutting machine so many times. So it'll help you go through all the die cutting really quickly. So now I'm going to assemble my flower, and I've got some tips for you on this. I'm going to place them out with some tweezers just on the front of my card, and they're not going to be in the exact position where I want them. I also want to point out on the stamp set, I've got it up on screen on the side, there are basically 2 sets of petals. There's large petals and then smaller petals. And there's also larger leaves and smaller leaves. There's centers for both. Basically, that circular center you could use for both. There's 3 of those. And then you have your 2 stems. So there's lots of different options that you can do for creating all of your stamping. I'm going to use press and seal after I've got my design kind of arranged. And this is going to help me get it adhered in the exact position where I want it. So I'm going to take this press and seal and place it gently over the top of my die cuts. Use my fingertips to press it down, and then when I peel it up, it's going to pick up those die cuts and keep them in the right position. Now I did have 1 leaf that sort of moved a little bit, so I'm going to use my tweezers to pick that leaf up and slide it over a little bit. You could also just arrange them directly on the press and seal if you want, but I find it's a little bit better to be using them face up and then put the press and seal down. So I cut out some squares of foam to go on the back of the petals and leaves, and then I cut a really skinny strip for the stem. And what I'm going to do for this is remove the backing paper, the release paper on that little strip, and then I can adhere it directly onto that stem without any problems. I can curve it, and you'll see that here in a minute. Just putting those adhesive squares on the leaves, and now I'm going to work on that stem. So I'm going to pull off that release paper, and now I can bend and manipulate that foam so that it bends with that curved stem. Works out really great. I'm going to put my foam squares on the back of the flower petals. And this is going to make it so I can adhere the entire flower, stem, and leaves all together at the same time and make sure they're in the right position and also the right positioning on my card, because I thought I wanted the flower more down near the bottom, but then as I looked at it, I realized I wanted it near the top. Please excuse my head that's in the way. I was trying to look directly over my card. So I wanted that flower up at the top and kind of curving down. So after I had it in the right position, I pressed down with my hands and then gently peeled away Press and Seal. It's such a great product. I love it. It's different from regular cling wrap. I'm now using the All About You stamp set. This is another stamp set that I designed for Simon. I love this font and I wanted it for really big greetings. So I'm using the You Make Me Smile greeting and I'm stamping that in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. In reality, I stamped this greeting 4 times because I wanted really solid black letters, but my ink pad is getting dry. I think it's about time that I get a re-inker or a whole new pad. So I wanted to have a little bit more black on this card, so I penciled on a border using a ruler, and then I used a black marker to go over those lines. I just wanted to pencil them in first just to make sure that's really what I wanted to do. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of glitter to this petal. I'm using diamond stickles. Yes, I broke out the stickles. I haven't used stickles in ages, and I've forgotten how wonderful stickles is with that beautiful glittery shine. And it really does stick and it doesn't flake off at all. So I put a little bit out and then used my fingertip to smear that out because I didn't want the glitter to be so concentrated. I wanted it to be a little more spread out. So I used my fingertip for that. And then there is the finished card. I hope you guys enjoyed. You can get the 2 stamp sets that I used today, plus that coordinating guides for Petal Power over at SimonsStamp.com right now. This is a huge release. There are so many wonderful products you can choose from. I am not done showing you things that I've made from this release, so stay tuned. I will for sure be using them on Friday in my live at noon Mountain Time, so please join me on Friday. See you guys then.